When you talk about mortgage, you said there are so many houses out there that are not,
Being
occupied
occupied.
by Nigerians.
Yes.
And how much do Nigerians understand this mortgage business? That you can walk into a mortgage bank and be able to source money to buy a house. How many Nigerians? Just give me a percentage.
Can I have
Understand this
access to
mortgage,
even-
yes. This mortgage.
So generally, home ownership in Nigeria is currently less than 25%. When you compare this with other economies, that's around 50%. Even in South Africa, it's much higher. It's because the real factor here is the credit enhancement ability for an average Nigerian is still somewhere where it has to be enhanced. And if you look at the general administration policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you would see setups like Credit Corps, you'll see setups like the Nigeria Credit Guarantee Company. The whole idea is to improve the purchasing power of Nigerians. So yes, there might be a gap in knowledge of what mortgages are all about, but what mortgages really do is to enhance the purchasing power of an average Nigerian. Rather than wait 20 years to save and buy a house that the prices keep moving, you can actually lock the prices at the rate of today and pay over your working life, and that's really the story of mortgages, But the real issue with Nigerian mortgages is the rates. The rates have been, astronomically high.
That's the question.
So the rates have been quite high because why? When you mobilize private sector capital, you have to also make sure you are matching those rates with returns that are quite attractive. But through the intervention and policy direction of this government, we have now seen, how do we deliberately encourage that when people build, we have Nigerians, we give Nigerians the power to buy. And that's why the first thing that the government has done is to, let's move the cap on what we call a decent house from 15 million to 50 million at 6% mortgage rate. Now,
from 15 to 50.
To 50 million.
That's high.
That's a considerable high number, at 6% over the working life of the average worker. And then you also find on the MREF side, they have said, we can get up to 100 million at 12%. So not only can anyone access this, available considerations, but if you look at 6%, 12%, and look at the commercial bank rate of 35%, you will see that there's a significant gap, which is one of the things we want Nigerians to keep talking about, that how do we participate in the shape and how government policies affect our lives. This is a practical example of what can happen when the private sector is in the room to discuss policies that affect the Nigerian lives.